Steve, thanks very much. Thank you very much for organizing this and for inviting us to speak, and Chaim Mazel Tov on the book. It really is terrific, and it's an honor to be a part of that also. I guess I'll start with a brief introduction. I am a professor at Duke Law School. My background is in law and organizational economics. And the approach that Dan and I took was, I think, very much using the social sciences literature in organizational economics to look at the challenges that rabbis and the institutions that house them are currently facing. So if there is a value, I would say if there's a value added to our chapter, it's trying to look at the rabbinate not from purely within, but from a social science perspective, relying on a literature that applies not just to rabbis, but to all institutions, and looking at theories of institutional change, and specifically looking at what theories of institutional change have to say about professionals and professional associations. The value added, we think, is, I guess, one, a perspective. We are coming as social scientists. We are coming as, we might say, positivists. And we are coming at it from a, you might say, a broader perspective, an interprofessional perspective. What we're trying to understand in the changes, the perspective that we take in looking at changes and challenges within the rabbinate is the lens that we look at other professionals also. The chapter specifically tries to look at tries to understand the challenges that the rabbinate is facing by piggybacking off of the very substantial literature that looks at the challenges that physicians are facing. So it very much says, let's try to understand what has already been written about the medical profession, about how changes in economics, changes in technology, changes in history, in consumer behavior, in economic constraints, what that is doing to the medical profession, what it's doing to the medical system, and how medical professionals, specifically physicians, are trying to accommodate with that. And the main message that we have, and we draw it specifically from language that's being used to describe current challenges within the medical profession, although it has been used throughout other professions also, is the term that we put in the title, which is right skilling. And basically we report observations in the medical field that there is a problem of mismatch. We are training professionals with certain skills, and there are certain costs that are associated with giving those skills, and there are certain economic consequences of people having those skills. There is a mismatch between those skills that we are giving our professionals and the needs that the consumers, patients, have. We are endowing skills that are very costly, that have less utility, and we are inadequately supplying skills that are in desperate need. And this is a natural consequence of institutional inertia in conjunction with economic and social changes. Looking specifically through the lens of right skilling to the rabbinate, we see a changing demographics, which you all know better than we do. We see certain institutional rigidities in how we train professionals, in the institutions with which we house professionals, rabbis. And we try to ask the question, is there a better way we can achieve, is there a better match we can achieve? Just trying to figure out how we can align the professional skills that we develop and endow the skills that we endow and raise within our professions, within our rabbis. Is there a better way we can match them to what the American Jewish public needs and demands and would highly value? So that's really the summary of the article. From the theoretical perspective, Dan will talk about the more interesting meat of the article. But basically, we are approaching this from the perspective of social scientists. We are relying on the literature that is already been developed and understanding what challenges established professionals and professions have when they encounter changing economics and changing social circumstances. And we're trying to glean those lessons and try to understand exactly what implications that has for the current revenue.